Collector's Universe has acquired Card Ladder, and the crew answers your questions about the deal. It all goes down right now, only on SCC.
Welcome to episode 41 of Sports Cards Culture. I'm Chris, here with Christina. Christina's PC, Nick, Stiff Arm Wax, and Josh, Cardboard_Chronicles. All those are our Instagram handles, and I'm Chris_HOJ. Up first, 1 week ago, Collector's Universe, the parent company of PSA, announced that it had acquired our sports card app, Card Ladder.
What?
For those who are new to Card Ladder, welcome. And I think PSA's press release on the acquisition did a nice job of describing our product. Quote, Card Ladder is an industry leader in providing accurate, reliable sales data on trading cards to take the guesswork out of pricing items. The platform provides comprehensive analytics for over 18,000 cards, including sales data from 15 respected industry sources, as well as population reports from multiple card grading services. Card Ladder will continue to remain agnostic with regards to data sources, grading companies, and pricing in order to provide unbiased and transparent information for all collectors. The Card Ladder research team reviews each transaction in its database to ensure customers have pricing data that they can trust, and has vetted millions of historical sports card sales in order to produce a leading data set that stretches back nearly 2 decades. Christina, what do you think? Did they miss anything?
I think the only thing they could have missed was that the trust that the hobby has in Card Ladder and the reputation that Card Ladder has built. But that's kind of like tooting my own horn, so toot toot.
That's okay. That's what I asked you to do. If that's Christina's only critique, then you did a nice job. The day the announcement was made, Nat Turner, chairman and CEO of Collectors, joined Josh and I for a 30-minute Instagram Live. We also discussed the acquisition for about an hour last Friday night during the crossover, so if you'd like to catch a replay of either of those two videos, they can be found on Card Ladder's YouTube account. Now, since the news was announced, we've had a chance to hear some questions and concerns from Card Ladder Pro members, as well as the sports card community at large. So let's address 5 of them here.
What does this acquisition mean for the Card Ladder user experience? Our members want to know. Will the database grow more quickly? And will there continue to be new Card Ladder features added to Card Ladder Pro?
Great question, Christina, and others.
Yes.
Sort of a composite question. So let me just say a few things on this without letting the whole cat out of the bag. Number 1, we're going to Santa Ana. The whole Card Ladder team will be at Collectors Universe's headquarters next week, and we're going to be working on integrating with Collectors Universe and on recruiting talent to come join our team. So one of the very first and most important points that I want to underscore is that we will be working to rapidly grow the database without sacrificing the quality and the integrity and the principles that we've established to get the database to the point that it's at now. We are the only data source that has millions and millions of sports card sales for over 18,000 card profiles, and it's all vetted. It's all very high quality, clean data. And so we want to preserve that and build on that foundation. It's pretty important to our value proposition. So we're going to be bringing in more researchers. And then in terms of other ways of enhancing the Card Ladder user experience, we're going to continue to roll out and develop new features. And now we have a whole new set of opportunities to collaborate with some of our sister companies under the Collectors Universe umbrella, like PSA, that's going to provide for some really exciting opportunities. And in fact, a little bit later in this episode, we're going to talk about 2 new features that we rolled out last week in conjunction with this announcement. So Josh, Christina, did I miss anything? Is there anything you guys would like to add about what this acquisition means for the Card Ladder user experience?
Well, I think, from the tech side, I mean, you covered the data side. From my end on the tech side, it's going to open me up to focus more on, innovating on the tech side. And we'll be able to start building more technology to help expand the database, to give tools to yourself and, the different team members we add and help them add cards more efficiently and quickly. And we'll have PSA's massive certification database, authentication database to lean into and use that data as well. And they've also got a massive set of pricing data. So all of that combined is going to free us up to, for at least for me to focus more on the tech side.
All right, what does this mean for the PSA user experience? And how will Card Ladder be integrated with PSA? And why is PSA buying Card Ladder instead of putting those resources towards grading more cards? Which, that question comes directly from Bill Simmons himself.
On the Sports Card Nonsense podcast, which you showed me.
Yes.
Bill was there with Mike and Jesse when they broke the news, and Bill said, "Hey, congrats to Card Ladder, but why aren't they spending that money on grading more cards?" Okay, take it away, Josh.
Right. Well, I won't answer that one first since we're talking about it. Grading cards is not a matter of throwing money at it; it's a matter of finding talent. And I actually see the acquisition of Card Ladder as a way for them to focus more on grading. So like they don't have to worry as much about pricing, and they don't have to put as much internal resources and training towards pricing. They're going to leave that to us to a certain degree. You know, a good portion of that they're going to leave to us, and we'll be able to help them. And so then they can focus more of their people on grading. I think it makes a lot of sense if you think about it in those terms. What does this mean for PSA user experience? I think it's going to simplify things on their pricing. It's going to make it more consistent. They have SMR, they have APR. They also use internal pricing for determining like things like upcharges, and they have a bunch of internal processes where they have different ways of gathering pricing. And so this should make that more consistent across the board. And we're going to focus on the technology again to serve up the data that we have, built up over a long period of time, and they'll be able to use that data to make things more consistent internally. And that's also how we're going to integrate. And I think Nat referenced it on the live with Chris and I about, using the Card Ladder value as sort of a way to replace the pricing within PSA.
Nat also, Josh has pointed this out on several occasions. Nat pointed it out too. PSA is hiring.
Yes.
They're always hiring, and they're looking for graders. Now, it's not as easy as just, hey, I'd like to grade cards, and then you're in the grading room. There's a rigorous process that you have to go through. To become a grader, you have to pass tests, you have to take training, you really need to be up to par. But if it sounds like something you're interested in, Nat has said it pays very competitively, and the application process is open. It's just accessing, I think, the careers link on psacard.com.
All right, question number 3. Chris, will Card Ladder continue to track sales information on BGS, SGC, and raw cards?
Well, you know the answer to this one as well as I do. What's the answer to this one?
The answer to this one is nothing changes. We will continue to add SGC, BGS, PSA, and the RAW grading company, also known as good old-fashioned raw cards.
That's right. The press release said Card Ladder is going to maintain its agnostic approach with respect to grading companies and do our very best to be objective and unbiased with respect to selecting which particular slabs get added to the database. Obviously, anytime we add a card, we try to add any graded copy of that card that has ever sold that we have a public record of, and we need a picture of it too. So as long as we have those things, the card's going to come into our database, and the cards that come into our database are largely democratically selected by our users. So good. Just to alleviate any concerns there, we're going to continue to expand this database with an agnostic approach to the cards that are being tracked.
All right, Josh, question 4. What will the Card Ladder team do now? Will you continue working for Card Ladder, Josh? Will the rest of the team? And will you continue making content?
Yeah, we're definitely going to keep making content. We're still doing this show. Obviously, we're still doing crossover. So we're hoping to even increase some of that. The content is really important to us, and hopefully we can do more of it with some resources opened up for us. Right now, we're just continuing as is. We're still working in the same fashion. We're still working on the same things. We'll continue working on Card Ladder. And this changes like a little bit. Like we do need to focus on some things to solve problems for PSA. A lot of that's going to be on my shoulders and the tech side. But I think the overall goals that we've set out from the beginning are still there, and we're just hopefully we can get to them a lot quicker now.
Great. Question 5, Chris. How will you preserve your ability to be impartial and agnostic when it comes to data tracking and making content under the collector's umbrella?
Very important question, and I think it's good and wise to acknowledge right off the bat that now the Card Ladder team are employees and loyal and proud members of the Collectors Universe family. And that means that there will be a fidelity to those brands and those companies. We already were big fans of them, but now we're officially part of that team and part of that family and part of that community. And so when you consume our content, especially, you should bear that in mind. We're coming now from a biased perspective. We can't help it. We're employees. They acquired our company. They believed in us. We believe in them. We see them very favorably. But the flip side of that coin is that the integrity and the authenticity of our content and our product, Card Ladder in particular, is incredibly important to us. So even as Collectors Universe and PSA are giving us the opportunity and resources to take our product to the ultimate level that we want to see it get taken to, the reason why that product became valuable and important to this market was because we are agnostic with respect to which grading companies we track, because we do our best to be transparent and to disclose all of our biases up front and to put policies and procedures in place that guard against being biased to the extent possible, and then acknowledging where we might be biased so that the user of the website and the consumer of our content can make the judgment for themselves and ultimately have all the information in hand when they're analyzing what we're doing with Card Ladder. So the integrity of the product depends on us continuing to be objective, continuing to be authentic, and continuing to do our very best to not be biased and try to correct for instances where we might be biased. So on the one hand, acknowledging certainly that we have a loyalty to the collectors and the PSA brands in particular, but on the other hand, acknowledging that we're going to do everything in our power to make sure that that bias does not impact in any way the Card Ladder product or our ability to make authentic, genuine content.
Sounds great. And I have one last question that I've been getting quite frequently.
Bonus question.
A bonus question. It's, when does Christina get to take a vacation? I've got a lot of people concerned after crossover last week with the screw-ups that everyone pointed out that I'd been making in my personal life lately.
What screw-up was that?
The 5 boxes of Mosaic that should have been status.
Oh, little do they know. You've been doing that for long before Card Ladder. Not to...
They all kept saying, like, wow, you're really tired. You need a vacation. So, gentlemen?
2 things. I have 2 things to say to that. All right. I have 3 things. Number 1, can't wait till you get a vacation. Well deserved.
So that I'm away from you.
I'll be on that vacation too. And then, but the other thing is that number 2, people sometimes get a little insecure when they see other people like working their tails off all the time. So just, take that with a grain of salt. And then, obviously the point number 3 is that you've been buying stuff like you do things like that long before Card Ladder. So let's just busted. Okay. All right. Moving on.
I hope that alleviates some fears for you guys. As always, our DMs are open, and so is the feedback in Card Ladder. So please don't hesitate to ever reach out. It's still us answering.
That's right. Okay. Card Ladder gift cards. Christina, I hear that Card Ladder now has a gift card program set up for this holiday season. So where did you get this idea, and can you tell us more about it? Yeah,
we actually had some members and potential family members of potential members reach out and ask if we offer gift cards so that they could give the gift of Card Ladder to the collector in their life. And I loved this idea, and somehow I convinced Josh to run with it in the midst of everything that was happening over the last 2 weeks. And we got gift cards up and running on the website. Go to cardladder.com/gift and you can purchase a gift for the collector in your life.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Great job. It's already had a number of people take advantage of it, which is pretty neat. Okay. 2 new features to Card Ladder. So we have spent the better part of the past year building out 2 new features that we released last week to coincide with the announcement of Card Ladder's acquisition. Both features are now available on the Card Ladder web application as well as the Apple and Android mobile apps. Let's break down both new features. Josh, the first new feature is simply called Sales History. What is the sales history?
Sales history is very simply a search bar into every sale that we have in our database, including sales that are not linked to cards that are tracked by a card ladder app. So we have the almost 19,000 cards that we're tracking and vetting all the sales. We also have a huge bucket of other sales, and a good majority of those are not linked to any profile. So if you want to search any card at this point, you can now do that in the sales history. We're up to about 25 million sales. And probably my favorite part of this feature is if you were to click on a sale, let's say it's an older sale. I posted one to my story. It was like a Jordan Rubies, and it sold, I think like a year ago or so. And we'll actually show you the CL predicted price on that using the player index that we pull from the title of the sale. And we're using the player index to determine what was the value of this card at that time relative to the player index, and then we can extrapolate that forward and determine like what's a rough estimate of the value. Again, this is usually a pretty low confidence estimate, especially given that it's not a card ladder, verified card. But again, as we've said with card ladder value, it's not the end all be all. It's a good starting place. And I've had several people, even PSA employees, text me and say they use this part of the feature to close a deal at a show. So I think that's kind of the intent, is now we're opening this up to be able to search for a lot more things.
Yeah, probably in at least some respects, the best feature we ever rolled out, and maybe the best feature we ever will. I just I don't know how to top that one.
Do you remember when we launched Player Index and I kept saying like, guys, it's more than just the player index. Like, it's going to be a lot more. This concept of index is going to make it bigger. Just stick with us. And then we rolled out CL value and we started using player indexes to determine price. This sales history is the same thing. It's step one. It's right now it's a search bar, but this massive database of sales is going to be step one towards a lot more awesome things for collection, for predicting prices, for everything.
Yeah, and I just want to say, like, we've said that before. Like, how are we going to top this, like, internally?
Yeah.
And we always manage to do so. So I'm not betting against us.
No, I know. I'm basking in the moments because it's such a cool feature. It's so needed. You can literally, sometimes there's cards of obscure players from rare sets that have sold twice in the last 20 years. And the only way you could find those data points is to use this specific feature. There's really nowhere else you could go to get that data, to my knowledge. Also, Josh dropped a nice little hint about forthcoming features over the next 3 to 6 months as well. That
rewind that.
There's still going to be
again.
great stuff coming. Okay, and Josh, the second new feature involves some major upgrades to Shop. So walk us through the changes that have occurred there.
Yeah, so on Shop, previously it was just cards ending in the next hour on eBay, very specific to that. And it was cards that were highly watched, though. It was sorted by the most watched cards. And we still have that, but now we've added a few other platforms. We've added Heritage, we've added PWCC Monthly and Premier, and we've added MySlabs. I believe that's it for now. We're working with these companies to add more. We'll be, adding Golden hopefully pretty soon. We're working with them right now. And it's basically the reverse of sales history. It's a search bar into available cards. And then today we also released the ability to see those shop listings on the card profiles if you scroll down. So now if you're searching 2003 Topps Chrome LeBron PSA 10, scroll down, you'll see that there's 6 on MySlabs right now. Click the link, if you want to go buy one, and then you have all the pricing data above it. So kind of bringing those things together. Again, another really powerful feature where we really like to use the search functionality, because if you're working right now and you're trying to find cards, you're searching 6 different websites, trying to find stuff, searching over and over. Hopefully you can, narrow that down to one site, and as we add more, it'll be even better. And then we're going to improve Shop over time. We're going to add, save searches, alerts, things like that, things that you expect from a feature like that. So this is just step one.
Terrific. All right. Man, this app has come a long way since it was 500 cards and
a collection feature.
And a nascent collection feature. Okay. Next segment. I'm just calling this one simply, not all cards are down.
What?
Every day, Card Ladder sends out an email to thousands of subscribers that spotlights 8 cards that have recorded all-time highs over the last few days. Every day we do this. So, for example, Christina's going to tell you 3 of yesterday's 8 headlines.
The first up is the 1957 Topps Willie Mays PSA 8, which sold for an all-time high of $5,509 with memory lane last Saturday. Second, we have the 2009 Classics autograph out of $4.99 Steph Curry BGS 9.5, which sold for an all-time high of $17,988.88 on eBay last Monday. Third and final is the 1956 Topps Gray Back Mickey Mantle SGC 9, which sold for an all-time high of $54,000 last Sunday with Robert Edwards Auctions.
Okay, thank you for that. Now, what's more, everyday Card Ladder social media accounts, which reach tens of thousands of people across Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok, make posts about cards setting record highs. And yet, over the last few days, I've seen several personalities in the hobby make the claim that, quote, all cards are down from their peak prices earlier this year. Well, we prove that statement wrong, technically, on a daily basis, because Card Ladder sees dozens of cards set record highs every night, and we publish stories about them every morning. But you might reply, okay, so there's dozens of cards setting record highs every night, but on the whole, the sports card market is down since the spike earlier in 2021. But even that statement is not really correct. Card Ladder has an index that specifically tracks every card in its database worth over $5,000. That amounts to over 2,700 cards being tracked by this index. It's called the high-end index. That index peaked at a value of 28,673 on April 25th. It bottomed out at 26,205 on July 4th, which was a decline of 9%. But today, that index sits at 32,189, representing an increase of 12% relative to the peak prices that we saw earlier this year. Thus, even in the aggregate, when you look at all 2,700 cards in the Card Ladder database that are worth over $5,000, the market for those cards is up substantially from the peak earlier this year. Now, by the same token, there are individual cards worth over $5,000 that have come down from their peaks. Some examples that come to mind are the 1986 Fleer Michael Jordan and the 2003 Topps Chrome LeBron. Furthermore, Card Ladder's mid and low-end indexes are currently down from their peaks as well, but make no mistake about it, on the whole, the entire category of cards worth $5,000 or more is well above its peak from earlier this year. There are thousands of cards in that category that are currently valued higher than they were during the spike in the spring. In fact, as of December 6th, that category is at an all-time high. The whole category is. There's another category, too, that's currently at an all-time high. It's baseball cards. Card Ladder's total market baseball card index is up 22%. 22%. Baseball cards are up 22% from their peak in April, and that index contains cards of all price ranges, from raw modern baseball cards worth less than $1 to vintage baseball grails worth millions. Okay, let me bring in Josh and Christina. I just have one question for each of them to analyze this topic. Christina first. Christina, we have the data to show that plenty of cards, and in fact 2 whole categories, have never been stronger. Yet there is a creeping narrative in the hobby that somehow all cards are down from their peak prices in the spring. So why is that narrative able to take hold? Does this really boil down to we're just acting like a bunch of spoiled brats because all of our cards haven't 10x'd over the last 12 months?
I think that maybe a little bit we're spoiled for sure. But I think also that it's a case of the negative voices are screaming while the positive voices are just simply commenting.
A silent majority.
Yes.
Perhaps.
And I think that what we have here are the people who post most frequently and potentially pay for their posts to be sponsored, and therefore getting in front of more people. We're seeing them over and over again, and then they get reshared by others. And just because you're the loudest voice in the room doesn't mean you're the most truthful.
And there's a bit of ego in this hobby as well, right?
Oh, for sure.
If my cards are going down, everybody's must be going down.
I mean, I couldn't make a bad pick, right? Like, so therefore, it's the market.
Okay, and now, Josh, let me throw the same question to you. Why does the narrative that all cards are down continue to get repeated in the hobby when we know for a fact that it just is not true?
Well, we could, instead of calling it all cards are down, we could say some of the cards that I bought in February are down and I'm very upset about it. That's what we could call it. I mean, Christina hit it on the head. You know, people are just upset and focused on the ones that are down. And I think you said it, Krista, like people are more focused on their pride to a certain extent, their ego, and saying, you know, if especially people that base their content and like making predictions for the future and trying to tell people what cards are going to go up, if that stuff goes down and they were wrong, then their reaction is like, well, then everything's down. It's not my fault, right? I think that's, you know, especially from the content creation influencer side, that's the loudest noise we're hearing.
Well said. I'll end this segment with a quote from Charlie Munger, the lesser known but very important.
So this could be anyone from the hobby. We're all Charlie Mungers.
Partner of Warren Buffett's. All right. He says, and I always see this quote show up in my Instagram, so like it sticks with me. Like it's just, I don't know why, but it's predicted and it's shown to me. So maybe it's trying to speak to me.
It's because you stop and read it every time. Therefore, the algorithm recognizes that you like this quote.
Okay, well, I do like this quote. The quote is this: "It's a good habit to trumpet your failures and be quiet about your successes." So a little tidbit there from the great Munger for anybody who needs to hear it. All right, last segment.
Some people need to hear that.
Last segment of today's show, Bleecker Trade Night with Josh and Cole from the Card Ladder team. So earlier last week, Josh and Cole hosted a trade night at Bleecker Trading in Manhattan. What a great sports card shop. We're soon to be visiting some shops on the other coast.
Oh, yes, we will.
That should be fun. Okay.
Our favorite long-term LCSs.
Definitely.
I'm invading.
Okay, so Josh, it feels like that trade night was a long time ago, but it wasn't. It was like 10 days ago or so. Or less, I don't know, something like that. But Josh, recap your trip to New York for us, including taking in a Suns-Knicks game, plus hosting a trade night at Bleecker.
Yes, the trip to New York was amazing. It was a quasi celebration for, you know, the deal with Collectors Universe. So we, Cole and I, the other developer on Card Ladder, we made it out to Manhattan. We went to the Suns-Knicks game. We were extremely lucky to be courtside at that game. That was my first time going to the Garden, and, you know, just super lucky to be that close. It was incredible. And of course the Suns, you know, dominated. So I think that was their 15th straight win at the time, and they've since lost a game, but that was still exciting to be there for that. And then the trade night, you know, hosted by Mark and, you know, over at Bleecker, just really great people. All the employees there are really fantastic, and had a great time. There was a lot of people that showed up, way more than I thought. And, you know, Mark was just really gracious to let me open some wax with him. He gave me a sweater. So shout out Bleecker for, I think I got a hat too, and some others, like a bag. So a lot of fun stuff. I met up with a lot of collectors that I hadn't met in person over in the New York area. A bunch of people came via subway, which I did not do, but subway, Uber, train, you know, there's all these different modes of transportation that I'm not used to. So that was fun to see, and, you know, really glad that I got to meet so many people.
That's amazing. Okay. Was looking at the photo gallery from that event today, thinking about tonight's episode, and just it looked like it was a great time. So, all right, that's going to do it for episode 41 of Sports Cards Culture. The next episode from us will be in 2 weeks, because we're going to be in Santa Ana, California next week. But hopefully we'll get some cool footage down there and have a great show. An episode.
Some grading footage?
I
know everyone, that's like everyone's favorite footage.
I don't know. Do you think that Nat would let us take the grading test, like, with just, like, a camera on us? Not on the test, but, like, a camera on us sweating as we take the test.
Not me. I'll be so embarrassed when I fail.
Yeah, it could be a challenge between the three of you.
Who does the better?
Yeah.
No.
I would be down for that. Loser buys pizza. You can't buy pizza in California. Never mind.
But real quick,
Watch me try.
Tacos.
Happy 1 year anniversary of SCC.
Really?
I was actually thinking when he said episode 41, like, should this technically be like the beginning of season 2?
So what do you mean 1 year? Like, our first episode came out?
It came out, if not this week, it'll be next week. But if the fans don't know, we filmed like a pilot episode that never came out. Mm-hmm. So technically the one that we've been filming for a year, even though it hasn't been every week because we've had down weeks.
Wow.
We've had hiatuses, which is normal in a production.
But happy 1 year anniversary.
Nice.
Here's
Very
the
nice.
100 more.
Okay. All right. Happy 1 year. See you guys on the other side of the 1 year anniversary.
Thanks for watching. Tell us in the comment section below what the crew should cover next week, and don't forget to subscribe. See you next time at SCC Sports, Cards, Culture.